Have you ever had a situation so frustrating or overwhelming that none of your coping skills could set you right? I'm Jen, a burnout and vicarious trauma coach, and I most certainly do not have my shit together. One day last summer, I spent 8 hours on the phone with the IRS. Fun times. Now, this was not an ordinary situation. I was untangling a mess tied to my mom's estate, something that should have been handled years ago by someone else. I took over fixing it more than a decade after she died. Old grief, fresh paperwork, and a problem I didn't create, but sure had to solve. I had submitted a request to the IRS, and the instructions in the response letter were just flat out wrong. I confirmed this with my CPA, who very apologetically asked me to call them to straighten it out. Now, I called the IRS expecting frustration. I did not expect 8 hours of being transferred, put on hold, and occasionally just hung up on by the system. In 8 hours, I spoke to four people. Four. And every single one of them gave me a wrong answer. Just reading back the letter to me. One rep straight up said, I don't even know what an RMD is, but the letter says, and just kept reading. During every hold, every transfer, every disconnect, I could feel this tempest brewing. And I was throwing every skill I had at it. And I kept telling the reps, look, I know I sound upset. I'm not upset with you, I'm upset with the situation. Which was true, mostly. But underneath the obvious frustration and exasperation was grief. This was my mom's estate. My mom, who was a CPA, who would have known exactly what to do, who would have just fixed it for me. Which then brought another wave of grief because if she was still here, I wouldn't be dealing with this in the first place. I'd have her. Instead, I was on hold again, listening to the same loop of terrible music and fighting back big, fat, angry tears. By hour six, I was fighting back a big, fat, primal scream trying to pry itself free from the depths of my soul. In hour eight, the last rep read me the letter again and told me there was no supervisor to transfer me to, no other department that could help. So I said goodbye and I hung up and just imploded. And I paced around my house, and my inner critic started having a field day. You're a coach. You're supposed to be able to model how to handle these situations, and look at you, you're a frickin' mess. Just what I needed on top of grief and anger. So I ran through my options. Walk it off? It's 103 degrees outside. Scream? That's just gonna upset the cats and it's gonna wreck my throat. Jump on the elliptical with rage music and a stress ball in each hand? I was too fried to follow through on that thought. And that's when I stopped and asked myself something different. Not, what should I do? But, what do I actually need right now? And this sad voice cried, I want my mommy. Obviously, that was not an option. But I sat with it for a second instead of pushing it away, and another thought surfaced. Last year, a friend gave me a bottle of mom's favorite perfume. So, of course, my inner critic was quick to jump in. That's not going to do anything. That's ridiculous. But I thought at this point, what's the harm? So I spritzed myself with Shalimar. In less than 2 minutes, something in my nervous system just let go. My muscles relaxed. The primal scream subsided. And this quiet inner voice showed up, which sounded a lot like Mom, saying, Hey, why do we get so worked up? This wasn't your only chance for resolution. You have a CPA guiding you through this. Yeah, it's going to take time, but it's going to be okay. And it was. And I was. Now, I wasn't feeling all sunshine and rainbows, but I could breathe again. And logical thoughts returned. And my CPA got a good laugh from the email I sent her. Subject line IRS hell. But here's what I'm glad I remembered that afternoon. Our coping skills need to be flexible and evolving. Sometimes you have to get quiet enough to ask what you actually need in the moment and be willing to try something new, something that might make no sense to anybody else. Sometimes the answer is the smell of your mom's signature perfume, something that instantly tells you you're not alone. You're held in this moment. So here's my question for you. When did you last discover a new coping skill, not because someone assigned it to you, but because nothing else worked? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely love to know. And for more stories like this, bureaucratic nightmares, grief, and reminders that your coping skills are allowed to change and evolve, give this a like, maybe share it, and subscribe to see new videos each Monday.